And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, live on the Philippe Mathews Show. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are around the world. This is episode 3 with the master of innovation, Richard Haasnoot. I am so excited because I got a little preview of what we're going to be talking about today with him, and I am super excited. Now, if you remember on the first show, and you'll be able to connect to the first show and the second show and all the shows actually from this one. But in the first show, we were kind of joking around because I was asking him some questions that he said, Philippe, I'm not going to reveal to you until the third show. And so I was actually upset about it, but I said, okay, what am I going to do? I gotta wait like everybody else. So I'm excited that this is show number 3. So ladies and gentlemen, Richard Haasnoot is an innovation expert and president of Innovate to Grow, which is a leading front-end innovation consulting company. And he also is the president of Blue Sage Creative. This is one of the things we're going to be talking about today, which is amazing, which is a highly innovative, rapidly growing client-focused graphic design company. Now, he's also the author of Proven Practical Innovation that Delivers Results. And we, of course, we've been going through this and taking notes from the book and what have you. But I went on Amazon, ladies and gentlemen. I found this guy has 6-7 different books that he has written over the years that all are amazing. We'll get into that probably at the end of the show or the last episode of this series. And he even has one in German. I mean, it was amazing. This is the guy. Richard, welcome back.
Great to be with you, Philippe. It's I really love your style, and it's very difficult to not have fun talking to you. It's very difficult not sharing your innermost secrets, even if you do it 3 episodes later.
Well, I have been chomping at the bit. I was telling my sweetheart yesterday, as a matter of fact, we were doing the shopping thing and, getting ready for the holidays and all that. And she's excited about you as well, because she's like, oh, you're doing Richard today, right? Tomorrow, right? I'm like, yes, I'm going to be with Richard tomorrow. So I've never seen a woman wanting me to be with another man like that before in my life. But she knows that this is really, she loves the innovation. She loves the concept, and she's a thinker. She's a real hardcore thinker. And you remember we were talking about the difference between left brain and right brain, and both of them actually integrate together. And so she really loved the fact that this level of innovation, or this type of innovation, works in relationships, works in her personal life. She's applying it to her, New Year's resolutions and getting in shape. I was like, wow, this is great. So anyway, here we are today we're going to be talking about actual case studies of innovation success. Because before the first 2, we kind of built up all of the processes and everything that innovation is, but now we're going to apply this to real life companies, and you have some companies that you want to talk about that are using these principles. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I do, and this is I want your listeners to, if you don't have a notepad out, maybe get a notepad, but you'll also be able to learn more about this on some of the Innovation Best Practices podcasts. That I talk about some of these, but not all of them. There's going to be this first case study that I'm going to share with your listeners is one that I believe can help most entrepreneurs, certainly most entrepreneur wannabes, and even people that are currently in business on a small scale and wish they could grow their business. So to take note, because I'm really tailoring this to your needs and everything. So here's the first case study that I want to talk to you about. This is a case study of a business model that virtually guarantees you a profit on day 1. If you're going to get into business, there's not many business models that will do that. Second, this is a business model that creates such robust capabilities for your new business that on day 1, you can get clients that are 2, 3, 4 times bigger than you could get as a single person operation. Okay, so much more robust capabilities than you could ever have individually. And third, it's a company business model that is specifically created to meet the top client needs and do it with world-class excellence. So that's the business model that I'm going to share with you.
Wow. Now you see, ladies and gentlemen, why I wanted to know this the first show. I would have been a millionaire by the third show. I'd have been able to pay my bills by now. Go ahead, Richard.
I appreciate your patience. I'm going to be talking about Blue Sage Creative, which is a company I formed 3 years ago. Let me give you a little bit of the background story. There's not a lot of principles in this background story, but it's a little bit of serendipity. It's about being present. I have a good friend who when I was at Gallo as vice president of marketing, I hired away from Procter & Gamble. When I left, he left, and our paths diverged, and then we got back together. I did a lot of consulting for him at another company that he was at, and then he was hired as president and CEO of a national company. And after he'd been there a couple of months, I went over to visit with him, and we went to dinner, and, as friends do, we got talking about things, and in the course of dinner, unexpectedly, he said to me, I have this graphic design unit inside the company, and they're just not delivering the kind of solutions that I need. So I'm going to go get an external company. And that would have been normal conversation as you, new president and CEO, you assess what's going on, where his strengths and weaknesses are. And then I found some very unexpected words coming out of my mouth. I said, Mike, what if I started a graphic design company myself and I could do A and I could do B? I'll get to what A and B are in a moment. Would you be interested? He got a big smile on his face and he said, can you do that? You don't ask me, can I do that? Yes, I can do that.
This is MacGyver of innovation, ladies and gentlemen. This cat can make it happen.
I said, give me 48 hours to get you the complete proposal and you can see what happens.
Wow.
And so I went to dinner not knowing anything about his graphic design needs or anything like that. I wasn't jumping in over my head because I'd been a client of graphic design companies for a long time, but I'd never run a graphic design company. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the background of how this opportunity developed. Well, the first thing I did was I knew I needed myself and I needed somebody with excellent graphic design management skills that could manage the graphic design company for me. So we're going to get into this about getting the right people, Philippe. Well, I made absolutely the right choice when I brought Lori on board as my creative director. She had great credentials in the graphic design business, having run a graphic design group and all that sort of stuff. And Lori and I immediately in the next 48 hours started work on this. And she became my creative director, is my creative director today, and she has this just absolutely stunning need to deliver world-class graphic design solutions to our clients. She never settles for less. And customer service with her is just, you do it 100% or you don't do it all. Mm. It was absolutely the best choice I ever made. So let me get into what the thought process that we went through in the next 48 hours, and then I'll tell you how it worked out. The first thing I knew that a client needs is world-class designers to create graphic design solutions that are capable of creating actual competitive advantages for a company. Those don't come easily. I've been on the other side of that equation for a long time in my career. I know that doesn't come easily. But you can do it if you have truly great designers. So I got thinking about, well, how am I going to do this? Am I going to open up a graphic design office in Phoenix or LA or someplace, a brick and mortar? And I got thinking, boy, I'm only going to be able to attract, people within a few miles that are willing to do the commute. Boy, that's not going to work at all. I dismissed that right away. And then I said, if I'm a virtual company, I can attract talent from anywhere in the United States and anywhere in the world to be part of this. That's how I'm going to recruit my group of world-class designers. Okay. The next step was, okay, now you're a virtual company. Where do you get these designers? Well, in my case, and we'll talk more about this and I'll show how it translates into different situations. Mm-hmm. I've been in and around the creative business with advertising agencies and graphic design and on for a long part of my career. And I knew two really great designers, and I knew those designers knew other really great designers. So very quickly, I had the entire group of world-class designers that I needed to work as independent contractors for Blue Sage Creative. So I could check the box. Do I have world-class designers to go to, Mike? You bet your life. Well, there's a couple other things that clients want, because I've been a client. And so I said, okay, Richard, you've been a client, you've been unhappy with graphic design companies. What can you do from customer service? Mm-hmm. Well, there were two things that always frustrated me, Philippe. One, when I worked with a graphic design company, I'd give them a project, and it was like it would go into a black hole. I would not know when I was going to see it, and I wouldn't know what it's going to cost in most cases until I got the bill. I get the bill and I go, you charged me what for what?
Sure.
Yeah. So I said, that doesn't work for me. So what we did was we created, to the best of my knowledge, the only 100% promise in the graphic design business. We will deliver 100% of projects on time. We've done that for 3 years.
Wow.
We will deliver 100% of projects on budget. We've done that for the 3 years of the company. Okay. So our 100% promise.
Now I'm hearing this, and I know you, at least I kind of know you now, because we had established a relationship. And this is exciting to me. The reason it's exciting to me is because I know that there is a screening process, a series of questions that you ask that allow you to unequivocally know exactly what that client wants. And there is no chance for error. There's no innuendo. You know exactly what to deliver. And as a result of knowing what exactly you're going to deliver, you're probably able to raise the bar and actually over deliver and give them even more, because there is a line of questioning and innovation using this process of practical, proven innovation that delivers. There's a process that you go through that vets all of the idiosyncrasies, the nuances, because you're talking about graphic design or even any type of business. There's some, gray areas there. You have a process that is par excellence. Didn't want to interrupt, but I had to interject that because I think that's very important for people to understand, because they're going to ask, well, how do I get that guarantee? You get it through practical innovation.
Yeah, well, that's very perceptive on your part, and I appreciate you sharing it, because you're actually spot on. So the third component was, when it came to budget and price, I knew that people wanted value. Mm-hmm. So what we did from day one was, when we got a client project, we competitively bid it among our group of world-class designers, and the client got the low bid. So they are guaranteed of an exceptional price. We deliver that price on budget, and we deliver the project on time. All of these things are agreed to before we do any work. Namely, we competitively bid, give them the low bid. The client actually signs their agreement to that. They sign on the delivery date, just as we do. It's our commitment. Now, if the scope changes, then the budget changes and the timeline changes, and we re-agree to that. But we have delivered 100% of projects on time and 100% on budget at high value. So those are the kind of like the key components to what we were doing in all of this. And if you take a look at the business today, starting a graphic design company, and I know a lot of people in the graphic design business, and most of them have local businesses, which can be a little bit flighty in terms of not really knowing what they want and creative solutions, and can be slow pay because they're not, up and robust companies. On day one, Philippe, to today, 100% of our clients are national companies. So on day one of this graphic design company, Blue Sage Creative, we have such robust capabilities. Our group of world-class designers, we show their portfolios with pride. We have such a high level of customer service, our 100% promise, our value proposition and everything, that when we get into pitches against 4 or 5 other graphic design companies, when a company is looking to maybe get rid of their internal graphic design company and go external, we win. We win and we win because of multiple competitive advantages.
Let me ask you something on that, Richard, because a lot of people might say, well, Richard, you're the king of innovation. You probably know multi-million-dollar companies that would just be falling in your lap. But that's not necessarily the case, because they don't know you as a graphic design company. They don't know that.
Right.
You have to, it's like an actor. You've got to go in there, even if you might be the son of Spielberg, you got to go in there and audition just like everybody else, because it's the bottom line, the cost of return on their investment, but it's also their brand, especially when you're talking about graphic design. You can't mess that up. And that would have devastating effects on everything that you do in terms of your reputation. So you've got to get it right from the get-go. That being said, so it really goes back to hiring or finding a world-class, like you said, a world-class creative director.
Yeah. It's here's at the heart of it, and I want to translate this for anybody listening to it, because they say, somebody can be listening to this and saying, okay, Richard, you've been in business 30, 40 plus years, whatever it is, you've got a big network, all this sort of stuff. I'm 25, I'm 35 years old, I don't have that kind of network. Can this work for me? And the answer is yes. And here are the principles. Okay. Let's take the principles that are in what I'm doing here. The principle is that I started working with a couple of people that I knew really, really well. Do you know, listener, do you know two people that you know really, really well that could help you with the business? I'm guessing most people listening to this are going to know two people. Well, here's what the two people did. They knew other really top-notch people, especially in designers. The designer that I knew had managed 20, 30, 40 different designers over the course of his career. He knew their work with great detail and understanding, and the kind of people they were and all that sort of stuff. And they were part of my vetting. If you know a couple of people, and those couple of people know another couple of people, and those people know another couple of people that they really know and trust, your network can immediately be established with people that you have good reason to believe are good, talented people. Now, let's say that you can't get all the people that you need for this. You then go into the process of finding them, and whether it's on LinkedIn or professional associations or other sorts of things. When in our work, it primarily became two criteria for designers. Show me your portfolio, show me your work. And I've been in the business long enough to be able to know when I'm seeing really outstanding work or not. And then to get a good sense of, are they good, caring people that try to do the right thing the right way? I mean, it's almost as fundamental as that, Philippe. Willing to do the right thing the right way. And do you take pride in doing that? If you put great capabilities together with just that core essence, you're off to a real good start. That may not be 100% of it, but boy, it's a great starting point for you.
I love this because it really speaks to, and we really haven't gone into this, but you are an exceptionally spiritually driven and led person, and you really live your principles. You really live by working from the inside out. What I love about your process is almost like 6 degrees of separation is how you end up finding these wonderful, brilliant people, because it becomes almost like a like attraction, like a magnet, like whoop, and they all come together, and then all of a sudden you have the answer to any and every graphic question or graphic design question or whatever the business is. I really like the serendipity of this model.
Yeah, well, good. I do too. And let me help your listeners with this a little bit more. Okay, let me move from graphic design. Where does this business model work? Now, let me just briefly summarize what I mean by this business model. It's a virtual company, and you're a virtual company for two basic reasons. One, you can attract you can attract talent from a far wider geographical range than you ever can by setting up brick and mortar. Two, your overhead is dramatically lower. And when you have independent contractor relationships with people, you only pay people when a client pays you. That's where you automatically make a profit from day one, because you're paying people when the client pays you. Okay, so how can this work? Is this going to work in a manufacturing company? Nah, it's not going to work. Where this model is going to work is in virtually any service business, anybody that wants to be a consultant. We actually have, if you will, physical products, which is delivering design files and that sort of stuff to clients. And we see the client maybe once every other year. It's in person, okay? And most of the designers I've never met in person, okay? So, but here's the thing. If you're interested in getting into a consulting business of any kind, and many people do, or in a service business that's anywhere close to graphic design or not, here's what you can do. If you want to get into business, and you want to be a lot bigger than a one-person operation, pursue the path that I've just outlined. Identify in your network one or two people who have qualifications that are either spot on or very close to it, and you can then expand your network. They're going to know people, and before you know it, you're going to have a network of anywhere from 4 to 8 people, and all of a sudden you can put a face in front of clients that is 4 to 8 people, and you're no longer a one-person operation. All of a sudden, you've got really robust capabilities. You go to bluesagecreative.com and look at our webpage and about our designers and everybody, and you see, and not all of our designers are on the page at the moment, but what you see is it's not a one-person operation. In fact, my picture isn't even on it. But you see a team with very robust capabilities. So clients you're in competitive situations if you're in the consulting business or the service business. So all of a sudden, you've got more robust capabilities than probably 80% of your direct competition.
It's powerful. That's a very powerful model. I mean, it's a business, a business without walls.
Exactly. And there are no limits to where you can go get people. I mean, we've had designers in South Carolina, Michigan, Oregon, Washington, Northern California, Southern California, Arizona, Washington, Idaho. I mean, and they're all over the place. So it gives you access to large groups that way. Interestingly enough, Philippe, that's exactly the same model that I've used for more than a decade with Innovate to Grow experts at i2ge.com, ge.com. Okay. If you go there and take a look at the page of our experts, you're going to see experts that will blow you away. The youngest general manager in the history of Procter & Gamble is a part of my team. I've known him for more than 25 years. Carrie McNamara, who was president of our largest competitor for a long time, left there to join us. I mean, all of a sudden, and same thing I did in Blue Sage, Philippe. What I did 10 years ago in the innovation business was use this business model. And with that business model, we got clients like Nestle, Kimberly-Clark, Clorox, financial services companies in Toronto. From day one, we never had a small client.
Wow.
Because we looked like this very big, and we were this very big and robust company, okay, with capabilities that most consulting brick and mortar companies could never have because they could never attract people to work there.
Here's the other thing. This model that you have tweaked also levels the playing field.
Yeah. It really does against a lot of people, and let me just show you another reason. This will be my last digression on the i2ge. On Blue Sage, I talked about our 100% promise that we established for high service, 100% on budget, 100% on time. On Innovate to Grow experts at i2ge.com, we weren't really in the service business in that way, but we were I knew that when I was a client of consulting companies, I never felt that they were accountable, Philippe, for actually delivering things that actually met objective standards. So at i2ge.com, I established the first innovation company to have a $100,000 unconditional, means no fine print, guarantee of specific results as determined by an independent research company.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. So
wow.
So that's
huge.
It is huge. Oh
my God.
I was putting myself on the line. Okay? Every time. So that was our dimension of gaining customer confidence in a big need that they have. If you're going to help us invent products, how do we know you just aren't going to scoop up a bunch of dog poop, put it in a bag, and say, "Hey, we got it"?
Right.
Okay.
You know what I like about the other thing I'm hearing about this, and I'm really getting excited again. I'm already excited, but I'm really excited about it, is that from a client perspective, the way that this guarantee, $100,000 guarantee, it almost makes the client or prospective client say, I would be a damn fool not to try this.
Amen. Amen.
I would be absolutely idiotic. And probably, if it's someone in management, I would probably end up losing my job if I did not pursue and give this a shot, because I am getting at worst, I'm going to make the company $100,000.
Yeah.
Right? At worst. At best, we're going to get what we need and probably supersede that whatever it is that we need. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah.
Think about the power, the psychological power of that, where this guy, Richard, is taking multi-million-dollar corporations and literally shrinking them down to the lowest common denominator and say, you know what, hands up, no mas, I've got to do this. I've got to try this. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Again, when you design a company to meet specific client needs, if that's the mindset, okay, not something that I think is cool, but that the client needs, okay? And in the case of i2ge.com, they want confidence that you're actually going to deliver something of value to them. Mm-hmm. It's not my opinion or your opinion. It's an independent research company that says we reached a certain score, a very aggressive score in independent research. We either did or we didn't. And if we didn't, I write you a check, no questions asked, for $100,000. I mean, that's pretty cool and straightforward.
That's amazing.
So the point, coming back to Blue Sage here, just remember, if you're listeners, if you're looking to get into business, the first principle is develop a network of independent contractors that work for you. Independent contractors, because you only want to pay them when you get paid, which guarantees you a profit from day one. You don't want fixed overhead of people that you're paying but may not necessarily be doing work at particular times. So, and by the way, the independent contractor relationship is absolutely the best way to attract the best talent to your company, okay? The second thing that you want to do is, in whatever industry that you're in, figure out what those real customer needs are. Most of them are along the lines that I'm talking about: quality of work, good value, and great customer service. I mean, those are, in any consulting business that you're in, the quality of work is going to vary based upon the kind of business that you're in, but that's what they're going to be looking for. What can you do that will distinguish you from your competition on those dimensions? And I've given you two examples of one that we do at Innovate to Grow Experts and at Blue Sage about how we do it. So think of your own to do it. Now, you got to gear yourself up to be able to do that. I got that. Mm-hmm. But you organize your company around that, and you're organized to deliver against those promises, just as I've done at i2ge and at Blue Sage Creative.
Yeah. And it's a fail-safe model. It's a fail-safe method.
It really is. It really is.
It insulates you from think about all the legalities. It insulates you and protects you in so many ways.
Yeah.
And it in terms of reputation, you're unbeatable.
Right. And the other point I want to make here, because you make some great points, the other point I want to make here is that to gain really dramatic competitive advantages against your competition, it usually needs to be on more than one dimension. So like with Blue Sage, world-class designers. I'll put our designers up against anybody we compete against. Service, the 100% promise. We're the only company that does that. The value of competitively bidding and knowing that you're going to pay the low bid and that sort of stuff. Those are multiple competitive advantages. If you had only one of them, it would be nice, Philippe. But when you add them all up together as a package, nobody else is coming close to that in what we're doing. So Just think about this for your listeners out there. If you're thinking to get into business and you're thinking to getting in a consulting business or delivering a service like we do any service to clients, think of the dimensions that we've talked about here. An independent contractor model, a virtual company to attract really top talent. We've talked a little bit about creating a network within a network of who you know. Your degrees of separation is a great way of thinking about this.
Thank you.
Then think about the service and the value components that are appropriate for your business. Okay. When you do that, we talked in the very first episode that most companies only have a 25% chance for long-term success and 75% fail. It's been true for more than 3 decades. What I'm talking to you about here with multiple competitive advantages will, in most cases, at least double your chances for long-term success. This model is going to at least double your chances for long-term success. There's not a lot of ways of doing that, Philippe. If there were, the average wouldn't be down at 25. Now remember, the 25 is made up of mostly people who are between 15 and 30% chances for success. So this is a business model that can help people really double their chances for long-term success. It's pretty cool.
It is extremely cool. When we were in the green room talking, and we've had this conversation actually live on previous shows, because one of the companies that I think really personifies this business model that has perfected it, and you have fine-tuned it to a crisp, is Apple.
Yeah, Apple. We think of Apple. I'm going to share with your listeners another approach to innovation that may surprise them. I know it surprised me when I learned this, Philippe. We think of Apple as this very innovative company. Check, they really are. That has great design capabilities, that controls everything from design to technology to engineering to supply chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you about the iPod, which was the first of the I series, iPod, iPhone, iPad, okay? How did they engineer and make the iPod? Well, your listeners may be surprised to know that the hard drive on there, they bought off the shelf from Toshiba. It's a 1.8-inch hard drive.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Steve Jobs, when he was touring in the Far East, was at Toshiba. They were showing him certain things, and they had this little 1.8-inch hard drive. It was kind of like a gadget they developed, and they didn't know what to do with it, but he kind of filed it away in his brain. And so the hard drive, which is where you stored the tens of thousands of songs,
sure,
was off the shelf from Toshiba. Well, you then go and you say, okay, well, there's a computer chip in there. Well, they didn't make the computer chip. A lot of people don't. But they bought the computer chip off the shelf from Texas Instruments. And there's clearly, with the swiping and the navigation menus, everything, especially on the early iPod, that was software run. Did they develop the software themselves? Nope.
Really?
They bought licensed software that already existed. Now, here is the biggest surprise. The iPod,
there's more? There's a bigger one? Okay.
This is a bigger one to me. The iPod clearly needed a battery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who did they buy the battery from? Well, they bought the battery off the shelf from Sony.
Stop.
And Sony was a direct competitor in the portable music business. Do we remember the Walkman? This was a product that was going to, in effect, put the Walkman and Sony's mobile music stuff out.
Oh, my God. Made CDs obsolete.
Yes. Yeah.
Made CDs obsolete. I have a garage full of CDs,
right,
that I will never use, or I have transferred them over into digital form to put on my iPod.
Yeah. So
wow.
is an off-the-shelf Toshiba 1.8-inch hard drive, an off-the-shelf Texas Instruments chip, licensed software, and off-the-shelf Sony battery, to name a few. Well, what's the lesson here for other people? Well, if you're thinking of developing a physical product of some kind, it can be a power drill, it can be a technology gadget and all that sort of stuff, and you sit down and you write down all the parts that need to do, and oh my God, we'd have to do all the machining and engineering and everything for that. Well, put a stop sign up for a moment and say, can we go buy this off the shelf? And you know what this does? It speeds your time to market dramatically. You've already got a product that's been tested and proven and is on the shelf from reputable companies like Toshiba and Sony, okay? So no engineering involved there. And you've got very valuable partners that you can then do other products with down the road. So this is a path of innovation. Get the innovative idea. The iPod was clearly innovative, but how do you execute it? Wow. And they executed it in a very innovative way that didn't sacrifice anything for the concept. And they bought, like the Toshiba 1.8-inch hard drive. Toshiba thought was a great little thing, but nobody wanted to buy it until Steve saw it. Okay.
Unreal.
So as an innovation strategy, think about, you don't need to necessarily develop all of this yourself. You look around for off-the-shelf choices. It's not an element of pride. I mean, if Apple can go do this, the great engineering and innovation company, why can't you?
Absolutely. Well, again, leveling the playing field, but thinking about this and saying, my God, really? I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Because I think a lot of people would look at Apple and think that there's, a bunch of people sitting up in a laboratory just, building every single nuance and aspect of the iPod and the iPhone and all of these various different products and services that has changed the planet. And what you're saying is that the Steve Jobs, now we can really look at the genius of this man.
Yeah.
All right? Because when you think about it, that's genius.
Yes.
That's genius. Yeah. Because he took, 4 or 5 different elements
key elements,
and put them together that were non-competing, so there was no patent issues or copyright issues, non-competing, because he wasn't, and working with Sony, who was the king of the music industry.
Yes.
That is innovation. That is genius. That is brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. And it actually, when I first read it, I went, so you didn't develop it yourself? And then I went, you sly fox, you.
Now, can we do something, Richard? Because, we're talking big ideas. We're talking big companies. And maybe somebody listening said, well, all of this is great. I don't know if I can apply it to my brick and mortar mom and pop business. You talk about, one of the case studies that you talk about is Faith Plumbing.
Yeah. Because I want to show innovation is not, take a look at what we've talked about. Blue Sage Creative, big national clients, Apple, and other companies that I've been talking that I've done innovation projects with. Does it work for a local company? And it absolutely does. Okay, so let me give you the background to the story case study I'm going to share with you here. I was an executive coach to the 2 owners of a company called Faith Plumbing in Phoenix, and they were large players in the new apartment construction business, very large, hundreds of units projects. Okay, it's very successful at doing it. I was in with the owner one day on an executive coaching session, and he got a call from one of his biggest projects. His project foreman was talking to him. I couldn't hear the phone call, but I could see, John is his name, I could see John getting increasingly concerned by what he was hearing. And what John was hearing was, from his project manager, was the architect got it wrong. The way the plumbing needs to go into this design does not work by any means that I know within the design we've got here. And the architect gave us a plumbing solution that is not going to pass city codes. Other than the fact that it wouldn't work and it wouldn't pass city codes, no problem at all. So a very serious problem. And so I said to John, John, we need to solve this and solve this quickly. And what I want to do is use two of the principles that you and I have talked about how you generate at least 12 times more ideas than brainstorming. I want to use the principle of diversity and stimulus. And this is how we did it. I said, John, call the general contractor's project manager for that project and get him or her to come over to the job site right away. And let's make sure that your local project manager is there, and you and I will go. And I'm going to, in the diversity model that I talked to you about, I talked about internal expertise. So I had John and his project foreman, external expertise, which was the general contractor's project manager. And I also talked about having external creativity, general business diversity in that, which is the role I served. So the four of us went onto the job site, and the stimulus was looking at the architect plans and actually getting into the framed out units and looking at how it wouldn't work, and standing back there and specifically talking a variety of options that we had available. And I would write them down, and we kept exploring options. We got to about 5 or 6 options. We felt that all of them would A, work, and B, pass city code inspections. So we could check 2 boxes, but they weren't all co-equal options. So we engaged in a process of winnowing down the many to the few. And when we got down to 2, it became rather easy to see which of those options was available, was the best one. Here's what happened. The one we chose was actually the idea of the general contractor's foreman on that project. And if we had not invited him into the process, and he wasn't a plumbing expert, but he had a lot of good general savvy about construction. If we hadn't had him there, John and his person didn't come up with this option. So,
wow.
So the diversity of having that there, and the role I played was a little bit in contributing a creative idea or two, which quickly revealed that I don't have plumbing skills, which is why I'm not a plumber. But I facilitated the process of creatively generating multiple options and then creatively evaluating each of the options to gradually get down to the one that we had. None of the other 3 people had the skills to do that. So in this spontaneous, from being in the office and getting the call to having this, driving over there, getting the people together and having a solution, took less than 90 minutes. And it solved a problem for hundreds of units of plumbing that if we had not done it, probably would have taken weeks to solve, because we would have had to go through city permits and all the other sorts of stuff. So the principle I'm sharing with you here is this: in developing innovative solutions, which is exactly what we did. John said, I've never done it this way, but wow, this probably can work in some other places too.
Absolutely.
So it's how so as your listeners, and you're thinking about this, and you're running a small local business, you've got a problem, and the reason that you start thinking about options is because you're not solving it yourself so quickly. Mm-hmm. External diversity, whatever is the appropriate for you. And
I like that term, external diversity. I like that. And
the second thing is, get somebody who's pretty good in organizing and thinking things through as a part of your small creative group. This was only a group of 4 people. Mm-hmm. And in a very short period of time, we were able to work our way through this. So
interrupting you just for a moment, and I have to go, that's an Oprah thing I learned, but I just have to interrupt you for a moment because this is brilliant. And that is what I'm hearing. You don't have to be the end all be all in your company. And most, I think, entrepreneurs in particular think that they have to know everything and that the buck stops with them. In some cases, in some ways it does, but to subjugate your ego and bring in people who can do what you cannot do. And even if you can do it, it's too, it's like a writer, you're too close to the work. And that's what diversity is. That's what external diversity is. You are too close. You can't see the forest for the trees because you're running everything. You're in daily operations. You're doing this. You've got to do the marketing. You're thinking of all these. You need people who have nothing to do with it, and they just have their own particular mindset or skill set, core competency, whatever, come in and say, oh, well, you probably just need to do that over there. What do you think about that? And it's like, holy, you know what? That's amazing. And that's what happened with this. And that was a small group that saved probably millions of dollars.
Boy, am I glad you made that point. I really am. Here, I want to build on it for you. Here's what I know from my life. Whenever I think I have a really good idea, I send it to people who I really trust and know have skills. And I don't send it to them and ask for their comments. I send it to them and ask them to make it better. Here's why. I know whatever my best idea is, Philippe, other people can make my best idea even better. I know that all the time. But I want to go back to a point that you made. So many owner operators believe that they are the only ones that care about their business and the only ones that are really the smartest people within the business. Mm-hmm. They will get in their own way. And John, who I'd known for some years as being an executive coach, and I had his attention and respect. And to John's credit, he's a great human being, a man of faith, as the plumbing company says. And he was able to recognize the wisdom, especially of the general contractors foreman there. But you're making a great point. Get out of your own way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the owner or operator can be part of the problem. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you can just recognize that if you can bring the best thinking,
I've done it. I know. I'm speaking for me personally. Yeah. I'm not above the law here. I have gotten him. I know I have.
Yeah. So that's a very powerful insight that you just shared. And I want your listeners to really pay attention to it, because it's at the heart of stifling innovation when egos really get involved. You just need to understand that what works in our process when we run a big creative session, and I have external experts together with internal experts with some of my creativity people in a group of 4 people. It's like spontaneous combustion when the ideas of various people come together. The sparks fly, the ideas come out, and nobody's worried about who's going to take credit for it. All they're doing is trying to create something really great. And when you get out of the way of trying to be great to create something great, all of a sudden, wonderful things happen.
That's a powerful statement. When you get out of the way of trying to be great, to create great, that's wow. Okay. Yep. Rewind that, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have, now the other 2 shows are awesome. And yes, I absolutely think you should watch them again. This show, however, I think you need to rewind and watch again and again and again, because there are so many powerful nuggets of practical and applicable wisdom that you can apply right now in your life, in all areas of your life. This is amazing. All right. I interrupted you because I don't know if you had finished telling the story about Faith Plumbing, because I know that you had talked about Nestle and also some things with Procter & Gamble. I didn't know if you wanted to go into, if you want to segue into that, or if you were finished with Faith Plumbing.
Yeah, I'm finished with Faith Plumbing. Let me just spend a couple of minutes on Nestle, because we talked about this in an earlier one. Nestle came to us and had a big challenge. We didn't know how big when we got it. And the story I shared with you in an earlier episode was that when we got the project assigned to us, I was sitting across from the vice president of marketing, and she looked me in the eye and she said, "Richard, you may not know this, but we've hired 2 previous consulting companies to solve this, and they didn't solve it." And she paused and she looked me in the eye and she said, "Good luck."
Oh, God.
I'll never forget it.
Wait a minute. Is that an episode of Mission Impossible? What is that? I mean, what are you, Tom Cruise now? I mean, oh, my gosh.
So I told the story that I went out and found 3 world-class experts from from Ohio State and Penn State and Cornell, who had been doing cutting edge research, unpublished. It was the reason Nestle didn't know about them, but were soon to be published. And we brought them into this powerful creative session. And it was supposed to be a 2-day session. And by noon of the first day, Philippe, because of the external diversity and everything we had and the process we use that generates 12 times more ideas, because of that, by noon of the first day, we had 3, not 1, 3 solutions for them. And the same person who said good luck came up to me and said, Richard, I can't believe you did this. What I want to know is, why didn't we know this?
Wow.
Because they are a big, robust. So that's a great example of bringing in world-class, relevant expertise that the client doesn't have, having them sit at a table with the client's best experts, combining the thinking, and all of a sudden, what 2 other consulting companies could not touch, we solved in 4 hours. Now, we went on to do other things in the balance of time we had together and solve some other problems for them. But this is the power of bringing together what we call the quantum idea generating process, which is which is diversity, which is world-class expertise, stimulus, left and right brain creative exercises, get rid of fear in the room and inject a bunch of positive energy and have a lot of fun. When you put that recipe of 4 elements together, this is what happens. This is
great, because what I'm hearing is that even though we're dealing with multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar corporations, if this works for them and they can get stifled, imagine what it's going to do for your business. It's the same process. Imagine if you took this process for your business that worked, plural, constantly continuous, for all of these multinational Fortune 5 companies, billion-dollar companies, and they weren't even able to figure it out. But now you have a recipe of success to apply to your legal consulting firm, to your gift basket company, to your best-selling book as an author. Imagine if you applied that. It's mind-boggling what you would be able to do. And you would be able to do it because it's not about the scale of having you don't need multi-millions of dollars to apply this.
Exactly. I mean, Faith Plumbing. I mean, there were no dollars spent on that except the cost of the car driving over to the location. Wow. But you're actually, you may not know this, but you're actually setting up the next episode very nicely.
Oh, okay.
And that is that we're going to take these innovation best practices and apply it to more than just inventing products or starting new companies. We're about how innovation best practices can actually help you innovate for your life.
Wow.
And that's what we're doing in the next episode. So
okay. All right. Well, I'm excited about this.
You've been so patient getting here.
You've given me a little teaser there. I appreciate that. I so appreciate that, Richard. Yeah. So give us the web addresses for people to get in contact with you, and also give the information about how people can download the podcast and interact with that technology and that information, because that's huge.
Yeah, thank you. We've talked about 2 companies, Blue Sage Creative, and if you want to see it, you just go to bluesagecreative.com. I've talked about my innovation company, Innovate to Grow Experts. The website there is i2ge.com. I love hearing from people directly, so I give you my email. It's richard@i2ge.com. If you want to listen to the podcast, just go to here we go again, i2ge.com/podcast. I've got, I think, close to 70 podcasts that have already been published. You'll see them all on the page. You'll see a list of every podcast we've produced. You can go down and look at how to generate. There's a whole bunch of episodes on how to do 12 times more ideas. There's a podcast on diversity alone and stimulus. You can listen to that, and a host of other innovation best practices. So it's all there. Oh, and by the way, it's free. Each podcast is only 15 to 20 minutes long, so you shouldn't go to sleep during
I am, you know what? You blow me away every time, man. I swear. I said, how can it keep getting better? And that was actually one of the principles in the book. It's like, you know, how to take it to the roof, how to make you get to good, you get to better, and then you go even higher. Yep. And you did that for me today. I mean, I am on cloud, whatever, I don't know, was it cloud 9 normally? So I probably am over at 15 or somewhere in there. It's going to be hard to breathe, but you know, I'm up there because this was really enlightening. It was inspiring, but it was also enlightening because it was powerful how-to information.
Yep.
That automatically is inspiring because it answers a lot of the questions where people get stuck.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, what I'm trying to do here, Philippe, is since I've been in this business a long time and I've helped major companies, I'm making the podcast free, the apps free, and all that sort of stuff. And in January, I'm launching a video cast, so you can look at it as either a podcast or a video cast. And all of this is free because I really want people that are entrepreneur wannabes to entrepreneurs to small and medium-sized businesses to be able to tap into these best practices that, quite frankly, have only been available to the largest companies willing to pay 6 or 7 figures to gain access to them. And you're now getting access to them for free. I mean, it's that simple. I'm glad to share it. I do it because I, one, have a deep desire to give back and help folks, but we need innovation to make this a better world. And you now have the skills and tools to be able to start doing that. So go get them.
The book, ladies and gentlemen, is Proven Practical Innovation That Delivers Results. There we go. That way I got the shine off of there. This is amazing. You can type in, if you just go to Amazon, Richard Haasnoot, that's Haasnoot, and all of his books will come up, and he's got some amazing intellectual property that is on there that there is nothing left out. It's like ragu. It's in there. Richard, any parting thoughts, words before we sign off?
No, I mean, Philippe, this is fun. I love the way you engage it, and we both share the same spirit. We want to help your listeners, and I hope we've done that.
All right, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Haasnoot. This is an amazing series. We can't wait for our next show next week. Same bat place, same bat channel. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are around the world. Richard, thank you for being with me. Hang out for a moment in the green room. And we'll see you next time on the Philippe Mathews Show Live.